First, let me thank organizers for this nice opportunity. So, this is the title of the talk: Preferential Positioning of Localized Turing Patterns on Curved Surface. So before moving into the main part of the talk, first let me give a brief introduction so that we will get some idea about title of the talk and to where we are heading. Okay, so these are some nice patterns which you can see on animal surface. So it's like a stripe pattern and spot, and some stripe again, and then spot patterns. So these are the nice patterns which you can observe. But not only on animal surfaces, also cell surface, you can also see on cell surface a pattern. It's like it's a single spot pattern on C elegans surface. And this pattern is very important in the case of cell surface because this is crucial in determining the cell division position. So patterns exist, wide range of spatial scales. Okay, having seen that, this it's Alan Turing who actually proposed a set of equation known as reaction diffusion equation, where one can actually see for certain set of parameters, the stripe-like pattern or spot-like pattern, if you choose your parameters carefully. So your A and B is concentration of chemical, and this del square is a familiar Laplace-Beltrami operator. dA and dB are the diffusion. Since this F and G are the one in general nonlinear that they control the production and depletion of chemicals A and B. So this nonlinear equation, if you choose parameters carefully, you will see a spot and stripe-like pattern. So this is a background. So now whenever I say single spot, you just imagine a red spot on spherical surface. Just keep that image in the mind. So this is basically the plan. First, even before going on to like curved or non-spherical surface, we'll just see a single spot on a sphere, and then we will move on to non-spherical surface case, and then summary. So this work is based on these, 3 papers which I am showing. Okay, so let's start one by one. Okay, I'm taking for the illustrative purpose something called the Schnackenberg reaction diffusion model, and it's a non-dimensional model. This is scaled Laplacian, and this again F and G is something which controls the production and depletion of the chemicals U and B. So we'll see what is a single spot on a surface of a sphere due to this particular equation. So what is a strategy to analyze this kind of equation? First, use something called a linear stability analysis and see parameters which can lead single spot, and then you see numerically. That's a strategy. So we'll see those things. Okay, so this is a standard thing. It's called a linear stability analysis. You take a homogeneous distribution of these chemicals on spherical surface, give a small kick, and that small variation from the homogeneous steady state is called delta W, and you can write in terms of spherical harmonics. The most important thing is lambda of L. If that is positive, which means that your deviation from a homogeneous steady state is increasing in time, ultimately it will land into inhomogeneous pattern or inhomogeneous steady state or pattern. But if lambda L is negative, your variation is not going to increase in time, it will come back to the homogeneous steady state. So there is no pattern. So the crucial thing in LSA is lambda of L. It's called growth rate of mode L. That depends on eigenvalue of the mode and RD parameters. So you tell me eigenvalue and RD parameters, you can compute lambda of L. You can see for that set of parameters, it will lead to pattern or not. So in the case of a sphere, in the case of a sphere, this yellow is the one which you get a single spot. The green is the one which you get a 2 spot. And this is the numerical thing. So that's the basic thing. So you just do linear stability analysis and see the parameters, you can see pattern, and then you just do it numerically. Fine. So brief summary is a key thing. You tell me eigenfunctions of Laplace-Beltrami operator, that's enough. You can calculate the growth rate of the mode. You can tell whether there is a pattern or not. So the crucial thing is eigenfunctions of Laplace-Beltrami of surface. Fine. Eigenfunctions and its eigenvalues, sorry. And then numerically, you just do it. Okay, so on a sphere, I told you to imagine a spot on the surface of a sphere. But there is no meaning to talk preferential positioning on a sphere because there is a rotational symmetry. There's no point in talking about preferential positioning there. But now if you consider an ellipsoid, you have a variety of positions. This one possibility, this one, another possibility. There are other possibilities which you can imagine. So the question is that where this spot is going to form. Is there any preferential positioning or spot is like to form in certain position? Or depends on parameter, it can go from one position to another. So all these questions you can ask in the case of a non-spherical surface. So for the demonstrative purpose, I am taking ellipsoid. So the question is that can shape of symmetry favor a specific position? The strategy I already told you, do LSA, that's the most important thing. Here, you get a lowest eigenmode, the eigenfunction with one maxima and minima. The reason I am interested only in single spot, that's why this is. And then obtain growth rate of the modes for the parameters interested. Okay. So this is the thing. So I consider a triaxial ellipsoid. You can do the standard perturbative analysis. So this is actually correction from the the usual spherical eigenvalue. These are all the correction. So there is another. The important thing is that because of the correction, now the degeneracy is lifted. In the case of a sphere, L1 equal to 1, M equal to 1, M equal to 0, M equal to -1, they share same eigenvalue and they were all indistinguishable mode. Now they share different eigenvalue. Not only that, the zeroth order correction is y10, y11, y1 - 1, and now you can actually distinguish this mode. Now y10 is aligning along z axis, y11 aligning along x axis, another thing along y axis. So you can have a preferential orientation and they have different eigenvalues, and because of this different eigenvalues, it definitely will take a different growth rate. So what is important here is that preferential orientation, degeneracy is broken, so they can have a different growth rate. All these things are possible, which were not possible on the case of a sphere. Okay, so what is the outcome of all those things? The interesting thing is here, it's in the gamma d parameter space. If you look, this is the region where y10 is more unstable, and yellow y1 -1, and here y11 is more unstable. So if you vary some parameters, you can actually decide which mode is going to be more unstable or less unstable. And not only that, you can also vary the shape parameters A, B, C to make to control the stability of mode. For example, here some gamma equal to 4 point something is second long axis is more unstable, but for this parameter, it's a long axis for that parameter is more unstable. So through tuning geometry and through tuning RD parameters, you can control which mode is going to be more unstable or less unstable. So LSI is already hinting preferential alignment is possible through tuning geometry parameters and RD parameters. So that's LSI is already giving the hint, and in fact you do numerically, you will see that. You will see this is a long axis alignment. When you move towards right, you will end up in short axis alignment. Similarly, when you start with some short axis alignment, you move more and more D, you will end up in long axis alignment. So you can actually tune alignment of the pattern through tuning RD or through tuning geometry parameters. And the down is the LSA and the simulation comparison. Of course, they will not agree with each other because the equation is actually non-linear. LSA, you are actually doing linearized thing, but LSA is useful in getting a hint for the preferential alignment. And so essentially the summary is this: non-spherical surface like ellipsoid can induce a preferential positioning through tuning geometry and the reaction diffusion parameter. And not only that, you have more controllability in tuning this pattern. You can make long axis, second long axis, short axis like that through tuning all these things. So basically this is a summary. So I'd like to thank Vijay Krishnamurthy for many useful discussion, and thank you.
Questions? Okay, so let's thank the speaker.
Thank you.